Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm joined by Jerry Taylor. Yes, we are a wee bit early in the day. This is the post-match, but obviously, Jerry, we're still watching the game. There's 13 minutes to go. Second half hasn't been a great deal better than the first, in terms of creating clear-cut chances, dominating the possession. I know that Celtic have looked pretty comfortable, but there's not really been a cutting edge in the second half, has there?
No, that's been the worrying thing about it. However, I'm not going to lose faith just yet because we're Celtic and we've done it before many, many times, but it's getting vibes of that. Was it the St Johnstone game? It's like, I don't know where this goal's coming from.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
We're trying too hard like we were in that game. I'm feeling for Mikey Johnson. He's getting a lot of heat. There was literally a post 30 seconds up after he was on the pitch saying how bad he was, and I'm like, come on, we need to kind of band together here and just positive vibes just now. I get it, it's a tough watch, but let's just see what happens. And do you know what? If we drop points today, I've said recently, this is going to be, we're going to have to get the first 6 months, grind it out because of the transfer window hasn't been great. The bench, it's not got anyone doing somersaults, has it? So when we've got a great first team, once Brendan gets some more players in, we've got that more firepower on the bench, a bit more flair, then we've got the rest of the year and we'll still be in a great position. So I'm not too worried, but it's a stressful watch.
It's been a really poor watch. Liam's joined us from Japan, just as Celtic get a corner here. And I've not been following the social media during the game, but Jerry was telling me there, unfortunately, Mikey Johnson's getting his usual stick. To be fair, it's one of the ones where every time he tries something, it's not really working for him, but he's an option just like Forrest and Yang were options. Liam, do you think it was the right time to bring on Mikey Johnson here at Easter Road?
I mean, yeah, if he's on the bench and Rodgers thinks that that's the guy to go with, then by all means, I said at halftime I would rather have seen Yang come on, but here's the chance for Mikey Johnson to step up, score the winner, and shut me and everybody else right up. So I hope he does.
We were talking at half-time about how footballers, we automatically discuss them as if they're just objects that, you can put to one side if they're not playing well and all this kind of stuff. But just as Zoe gets a wee header there, actually, but it was pretty tame. But you can almost see it. You can almost see it in his confidence or lack of, Ian, when he's got the ball at his feet and he's kind of second-guessing himself. It's almost as if he doesn't stand a chance at times.
Is Mikey Johnson, you mean?
Mikey J, yes.
Yeah. He's obviously the obvious energy when a new player, when a sub comes on, he was buzzing about. But I think you're right. Don't know if this is the right sort of moment to put him in. Yeah, let's see. Has he got it? Has he got it for Celtic? I don't know. I think the jersey weighs heavy as well, doesn't it?
He just pulled off a cracking wee shot there that Marshall had to save just as you were talking there, Ian.
There must be a delay. I've got the game on here right in front of me as well. So I've got Celtic TV on, so I'm watching last week's game. Obviously.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, guys. Spoiler alert.
Exactly.
How's Ryan Christie been playing? Is he doing?
He's doing all right. Yeah, he's his third birthday yesterday.
Talking to Ryan Christie, at least Johnson got, he forced a save. It was a decent effort. He started the move off down the left-hand side. He ran at his player. He played a 1-2. Just as we're talking about how maybe the reaction of the crowd can affect a player, he was brave. He was brave enough to try that effort, and Marshall pulled off a save. I don't think we've been doing enough of that though, Jerry. We've not been trying enough. I mean, Palma did it in the first half, but he faded badly in the second half. We've not been testing the goalie enough, have we?
No, definitely not. And he's there to be tested because he was a bit flustered in the first half, if you ask me, Marshall. Yeah. And I think he's shown a couple of times. He's had a few, when they call them so much fumbles, but there was a fumble actually when he came out to collect the ball. But I just think we need that, and we keep saying the word trying. I think they're trying far too hard. Some of them just to that rush of blood instead of just relaxing and try to pick them apart. But it's back to that bench again. We just don't seem to have. Remember last season, it was like, look at that bench. I always remember just there's an injury, it's all right, we know that. But now it's a worry. And then I've seen a lot. One of the comments was, we've got Forrest and Turnbull and Johnson on. Remember everyone to wind your clocks back to 2018 tonight. So it does have that feeling now. If you'd have said, mate, if any of us said on this podcast pre-season when we're going through that list that James Forrest, Mikey Johnson and David Turnbull would be coming on to help save the game, we wouldn't be excited by that. It's quite frustrating actually, and you keep looking at the transfer window, but it was out of our hands basically because of Ange leaving and the time that Brendan Rodgers had to come in, and he was planning on taking a year out, so he wouldn't have been doing his usual due process when it came to his scouting, because I know that's what he's known for, isn't it? Having them in place like a year before.
Oh,
what happened?
Oh,
Don't know what
Hit the bar.
watching. Who was it? Mikey Johnson.
We're going to get it. We're going to score.
Jamesy Forrest.
Just on cue, which this will be Turnbull to Forrest. Forrest chips it in.
I know. And Mikey Johnson will get the rebound. No, you're right. I think, we've been talking about recruitment, and, one poor performance or 80 minutes of a lacklustre performance isn't going to change my mind. I think Brendan Rodgers, in the last few weeks, the club, the team's been playing brilliantly. And this game's not finished yet. That's another thing that I would point out. The game isn't finished yet. It has largely been Celtic. I think there was a moment, there was a couple of minutes where Liam Scales wasn't having the best of times, unfortunately for Scalesy.
Has Forrest just scored? Scored?
No.
Somebody just put, come on, Jamesy, in the group, in one of my chats.
He's hit the bar.
Another effort, just saved.
I must be miles behind because I've not seen any Jamesy Forrest action here. But with regards, obviously, I'm watching the game in Kuala Lumpur. I'm watching it officially and legally on Celtic TV, which I subscribe to, just for anybody who might be watching. At the moment, I'm looking at David Turnbull, who's taking a corner. Oh, well, they're forcing us to watch the game. Liam, yes, he's hit the bar. That's me now. Just got it. I must be 3 minutes behind you guys. So yeah, do that thing where you're tempering the enthusiasm when we score a goal, guys. Right, just so that me and Jerry can enjoy it when it happens on the delay. But what do they expect us to do, Liam? If you can't get a ticket for the game and it's not on the TV, what on earth do they expect us to do?
It's the same thing as I say about films and TV, right? Now, to go on a bit of a tangent here, I'm a Star Trek fan, right? The last 3 new Star Trek shows, there has been no legal way for me to watch them in Japan. So guess what? I get the VPN and I find a way to get Paramount over here because they're not interested. I'm willing to pay money to watch this show, and they're they don't want it. So fine, they don't want my money. They won't get my money. And Celtic are the same.
It's frustrating, almost as frustrating as this game because we've been talking about the stick that maybe Forrest and Turnbull and Johnson get, and then Forrest strikes the ball against the bar. Mikey Johnson has one of the best efforts of the second half. So let's look at these incidents in isolation and say that they're actually making an impression since they've came on. I thought Kyogo was very, very quiet today as well. Ian, that worries me a wee bit because that fluidity that you've seen with regards to the other night, him and O'Reilly crafting open that incredible chance. There was none of that today, was there?
No, and I think the fatigue must come into it. If you look at, I suppose, Hibs are playing at their maximum. I would say at the moment, there's just had a couple of players go down with cramp, so they're obviously running their legs off. Right, Celtic are not playing at their maximum. So, and I think we were playing at our maximum against Atletico. They maybe weren't because we were running our legs. So I think there's fatigue perhaps has come in, certainly with Kyogo. Hopefully it's that, but it's a lot to ask for players, when you've got a big European night against top class opposition and you're having to be that the concentration levels for the entire duration, as well as the physical exertion. It's got to play a part, and we haven't got that strength and depth like we did before. You have Kyogo, obviously, we've not got a light for light, it would have to be extremely wealthy to have resources to have someone who's equally as good as him, but still, when the players are slightly off it, such as Kyogo, we haven't got that strength and depth. Yeah, I think it's just tiredness. I think it's just tiredness from the exertions from the other night more than anything.
Well, I've just seen Martorelli misplacing a pass, and I can only put it down to tiredness because he would do that kind of thing in his sleep normally. He would find the ball in his sleep, and he misplaced the pass. So you've got to put it down to fatigue. I think Stephen Sloan in the first bulletin that we put up today, the pre-match, he listed 12 players that were not as part of the first team squad today. 2 of them were injured. The rest of them would have been available to play. And I'm a great believer in all about quality over quantity. You know, you take the 12 players, you turn them into 4, and you have 4 quality players that are on that bench, and they're able to come in and make an impact, because that has been pretty stark today. Big O's trying his hardest, and I really do hope he gets a chance to score, because, you know, it'd be great to see the big fella scoring. However, its chances have been few and far between. Hibs have played a defensive game today. It's not been great to watch, Liam, but they've kind of stuck to their task, haven't they?
Aye, but do you know what? See if Celtic would have played the way they've played the last 5 minutes for the entire game, would be about 3 or 4-0 up by now. We're absolutely dominating them now. We just can't put the ball in the net.
Should Forrest have scored that one, or was it an unlucky chat?
Unlucky.
It was unlucky. It's unlucky.
Yeah, connected pretty well with it, didn't he? He controlled it. He controlled it well, and it's ricocheted off the bar. But as you say, Liam, it's been all Celtic these last few minutes. And to be fair to Mikey Johnson, I know that Jerry, you were saying he was getting stick on the socials. You know, he's not giving up. Every single time that, you know, he's shown for the ball, he shows a willingness to try and create something. He has tried that shot from 20 yards, which I thought was probably one of the best efforts of the second half. So it's maybe about time we just realise these guys are important parts of the squad and get behind them.
3 minutes added.
3 minutes, right? Plenty of time for the winner. At the moment, I'm still watching a few minutes behind. This is a bizarre thing. I'm watching something behind Liam in Japan and behind Ian in New Zealand. And the game.
I love that. New Zealand, Japan, and Girvan.
Girvan, aye. I'm watching the game about 20 minutes away from where the actual stadium is, and I can't get an up-to-date live broadcast of it, which is bizarre. It's Scottish football in a nutshell. That wee dink there from David Turnbull, that's frustrating. Why not just put your boot through the ball? You know, you're 12 yards out, tries to dink it over the keeper. So I'm on the 89th minute, so I've still got 4 minutes to go. What's your status at the moment, Liam?
90 minutes and 47 seconds. Celtic on the attack. I'm glad that Jerry told us how much injury time there is, because Celtic TV hasn't.
Granty and Paul in the commentary box. I mean, games like this occur, and it's not a disaster. But I remember the fallout from the St Johnstone game. Jerry quite rightly said we had this sense covering that game we were never going to score. You could play 180 minutes and you wouldn't have scored a goal. A wee bit kind of similar today. But what I would say is that I think we've been more solid at the back, because my issue with St Johnstone was we gave away too much chances near the end, and they could have nicked a winner. But you're going to have days like today. It's no disaster, Liam, is it?
No. I mean, just, you know, at the end of the day, we actually move a point further ahead, you know, because Rangers still have to win their game, and there's no guarantee they'll do that with the way they've been playing recently. So, no, I mean, happened a couple of times last season. We had frustrating days where we didn't win, but then they went out and got beat. So, you know, there's every chance that could happen. You know, I will say though, when I read the Scottish media hype about Philippe Clement, I went and, you know, I stuck a couple of quid on him to win the to win the league, to win the Europa League, to win the Champions League, to win the Kentucky Derby, to win the Grand National. Imagine my disgust when the bookie refused the bet, because apparently the Derby's only open to 4-year-olds.
See the thing with that though. I mean, Brendan Rodgers. I think what's happened there is he's gone about his business, and he's done it in a low key manner compared to first time round, where it was quite razzmatazz, glitzy, 13,000 up at Celtic Park to welcome him in. And he's just doing his business. He's taking care of business, Ian, to use an old Elvis term, isn't he? TCB.
He is. I like the way he's gone about his business. And I've said this before. It's like, and you guys met him recently as well. But he gave that calmness as a man in control there. If he was flying my aeroplane, I'd be perfectly happy. You know,
even if he didn't have a license, it would make you believe that he could land it.
even if he just read a manual quickly and just went, right, I'm flying this plane, I'd trust him because he seems like he's that self-assurance, you know. So, and that comes across, it filters across to the players, just like Ange did. Oh, the game's over. No. So it's all part of the process, you know. We didn't look like we're in danger of conceding there at all, right? I think that's just tired legs. But in Brendan Rodgers we trust. I think he's getting he's finding those little gaps and those little places of improvement to just fine tune an engine, you know. Whereas Ange brought the whole car up in restoration, you know. Brendan is that finesse. He's really finding little areas to get that 1-2% extra out of certain players, and I think that'll continue the season.
Yeah, I think it will. And then, as Jerry said earlier on, you then add into the mix, let's say, a wee bit more quality, because we did lose quality, and Brennan's spoken about that. Not just Starfelt and Jota, but we also lost Moy. Moy was a very important player last season. So there's three guys who we've lost to the starting 11. And then you think, well, who we brought in that's made an impression? Palmer's made an impression. I don't think he was at his best today. He's made an impression. Most of the others have not. I mean, I know Liam, you had suggested maybe Yang coming on. He never got an appearance today, interestingly enough. But I think in the early dispatches, he looked decent. But in terms of losing quality, but then replacing them with lesser quality, Brendan's been dealing with that as well. We didn't have a spark today. But what I wouldn't say, and I think that it's a natural knee-jerk reaction to say, you know, oh, I can't believe we brought on Turnbull, Johnson and Forrest. We actually looked better, Liam, when they guys came on.
Yeah, I mean, slag Mikey Johnson all you want, but, you know, I mean, cards on the table, Dyson Maeda's my favourite Celtic player, but he did more in that second half than Dyson did in the whole first half. That's the reality of it. These guys came on and they tried their best, and some days it just doesn't happen for you. I mean, right, let's cut to the chase, guys. We know what's gone wrong today, right? It's not because the team's not good. It's not because of tiredness. It's not because of the referee. It's because I'm wearing a blue sweatshirt, isn't it?
Of course it is.
I mean, come on. That's what it is, right? We've had this argument before. It's because I'm wearing something blue. That's the problem.
It's not. It's because you said we were going to win 6-0 and I said we were going to win 5-0. That's why.
That's the meme. That is
cockiness.
The meme. I need you to dress up as Aquaman for the next show. And
I was tempted to say with 5 minutes to go, Jerry, we might have to settle for your 5-0.
What I quite enjoy as well, obviously we've been covering every game here at A Celtic State of Mind for the last 3.5 seasons, and you know, if you look at some of the early displays, the disappointment, the emotion, it just ran wild with the contributors, myself included. But over the piece, you start to temper that. You don't get too high or too low. And saying that, I've never watched back the half-time bulletin against Real Madrid where I thought we were going to win the European Cup. Kevin McCluskey was on that show as well when we were battling them and it was nothing each, going toe-to-toe anyway. But after that game, I'm not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, but what I do enjoy is getting the balance of the commenters coming in as well. How are you feeling about that performance? What could we have done better? What went wrong? And of course, who do you blame? Because there's always responsibility for that. So we've got Pat Maguire coming in. At times we had a back 8, O'Reilly, Turnbull and McGregor, too deep. Shocking display, says Pat. And Mount Kadath comes in to say, needs improving on. I want to talk a wee bit about that area of the park. Thomas Burns, absolute shocking performance. We can't play at that pace and expect to win games. And Sean Fairley, stop dressing it up, boys. Performance level not acceptable. I don't think it was acceptable. It was flat. No. We lacked creativity. We lacked ideas. There was not enough quality on the bench. I think what I'm saying to Liam is the guys that came on didn't play badly when they came on. There was players that maybe had a decent first half and a poor second half. Bernardo, I thought Palmer faded badly. Does that come down to fatigue? Well, in the case of Palmer, perhaps Bernardo's not really played many games, but again, that could have the opposite effect on him as well. So yeah, bad day at the office. Was it down to our approach to the game, the shape, the formation, the selection? I didn't hear any complaints at the beginning of the game, Ian, when we seen the starting 11.
Yeah. It's just one of those days. It's one of those days, and it's over the season. You're not going to win every game, generally speaking. I think it's one of those days. Let's not become hysterical about things. I think for me, it was. See, I'm not trying to dress it up or trying to be some kind of cheerleader. I'm the first person to sort of, poke my nose in or point the finger when performances are not up to scratch, or it's a load of rubbish, or it's And I get the fact that it was a bit slower paced. It wasn't at that kind of frenetic pace that we've been going at in the past few weeks. Again, I think that's a European hangover, and I think that's where the squad's rotational system comes into play. When you've got a stronger bench, you wouldn't ask that much of the guys that had just knocked the pan out during the week. You'd put certainly from the start anyway. You use some of your bench players from the start, and maybe introduce a Kyogo in the second half or something. Just give them a little bit of a rest. We didn't have the option to do that, because I don't think Brendan's got the trust in the players that are on the bench as much as perhaps in seasons gone by with under Ange.
Yeah.
So again, but this, looking at the positives, this adds more weight to Brendan going to the board and saying, look, we need more strength and depth. We need to spend a bit more money for some more quality. Let's not moneyball it. Let's really give Brendan the opportunity to go and spend money on better quality, and they can come in and just do it.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's one of these things with the transfer window, just as you're thinking, it seems a wee while ago, there's another one upon us. It's like an international break. The window will be open again soon enough. And we're all watching the same game as Brendan with much less insight and knowledge and ability to determine what is required than Brendan Rodgers. So I'm pretty sure he's got 3 or 4 targets. He spoke about a frustration at not being able to get them over the line. But as you said, Jerry, he was thrust into a situation whereby, we didn't have the entirety of the pre-season to prepare, not as a football club, but as a team with Brendan Rodgers as the head of that team. In terms of the recruitment and liaison with the recruitment team to bring in the real quality. I'm not writing any of the guys off. I'm not going to say any of them are duds or flops or any of these terms that you hear all the time in football, because quite frankly, it's going to take time for them. They weren't, I don't think, purchased maybe other than 1 or 2 of them as starters, as instant impact players. And we're seeing that now. And you're looking at the bench and you're going to the tried and tested group of players who have been there for a number of years, James Forrest and Mikey Johnson included. You look at 4 of the subs today, Mikey Johnson, Tony Ralston, James Forrest, David Turnbull. So it's not going to fill anybody with much excitement, Jerry, but they're dependable enough players. We just needed a bit of magic, a bit of quality on the bench, and it wasn't there. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're having to rely on our first team pick to get the job done before we bring these guys on to show the game up.
Yeah.
So, but what I will say is, I get the last comment. We're not sugarcoating anything here today. Were we rubbish? Yep. Was it fun to watch? No. Am I worried? No, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm not going to go from the hype of Wednesday night, when we've got people down south saying that Celtic's playing some of the best football of any team in the Champions League, to then today go, oh no, we're rubbish because we lost points at a tough ground. It's tough to take, but I'm not worried. It doesn't mean we're automatically a bad team. Like you say, it's a bad day at the office. So if the next result we get, we lose points, then we'll start talking. But I'm not worried about this at all. And we will build on this in January. I've still got the excitement of Wednesday and how we played. There's no one that can tell me that isn't a phenomenal team that we are building right now. And there's still a lot of them still quite raw and maybe not properly gelled. So I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to tear it up and start again, Liam, but I think it's prudent to start thinking about the future, start thinking about the transfer window in January. Where do we strengthen? And I think it's, there's a point in the comment section saying we've got this massive squad and we still don't have enough quality. Yeah, there's a lot of players that need to move on. Absolutely. It's going to be a busy transfer window in the exit door as well. But where do we strengthen? I mean, is it that obvious? Because I think, he's been at the club now for a while, coming on a year. And I think, people will point to his goals per minute ratio last season and say that he had a very good impact when he was given the opportunity. Hasn't happened for him under Brendan Rodgers, and we're in the here and now. We can't keep a player because he was good a season or 2 ago. Do we need to strengthen up front? Do we need to bring someone in to challenge Greg Taylor at left back? Are we looking elsewhere on the field? Where do we need to strengthen, do you think, Liam?
Yeah, I think up front we do need something because we're relying far too much on Kyogo. With this new system, Kyogo is not going to score as many goals as he did last season. It's just not going to happen, right? Because the system that we're playing in now is it has less of the sort of a free roving role that he had last season where he could pop in anywhere. Can't really do that under this new system. It's a very regimented style we're playing, and you need to have straight, O came on today as a straight swap for Kyogo, but it's clear he's nowhere near the same class as Kyogo. And that's no his fault. I mean, O is one of those guys that I would never, ever question his commitment. But I think you can now legitimately ask questions about his suitability and his compatibility with Celtic. I think that's, like you say, he's been here almost a year. It's at the point now where it's no bedding in anymore. It's a question of, are you actually good enough? But we, as everybody has said, come January, we're going to get a full Brendan Rodgers transfer window, right? And we are going to strengthen. I don't know exactly where we're going to strengthen because I'm not a tactical expert. But I think up front is one area where we do need to strengthen. And we will probably bring in 5 or 6 players. And none of our rivals have the capability to do that. So as long as we are still ahead, even by 1 point come January, I'm confident we'll scoosh this league. We won the league by 10, 15 points. As long as we are still ahead come January, no problem.
Right? Yeah. Why would today change that view?
Yeah. And what I would just add to that, right? I get it that there's going to be people frustrated at the result today, right? Please don't be that walloper that phones up Radio Clyde and demands that we sack the board and everything. I mean, some clown is going to get full of Bucky and do that tonight. Please don't. Please don't give all the Rangers websites their soundbite. Please, just stay calm. It's one game.
There's an Acsom ban on doing that this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Derek Soulboy, Brendan's Easter Road Hoodoo strikes again. We spoke about that before the game, and obviously I shrugged my shoulders and says it makes no difference. There's no such thing as a hoodoo, and we go out and get a 0-0 draw. And then we've got Mark 1967. We were too slow or so slow today. A bit of both, I think. And Mount Cadath. Also, there is no belief that when O comes on, anything happens. This goes back to the point that Ian made at the beginning of the game when the big fella, Big Giakoumakis, came on. And it's not a case of hindsight, by the way. When he came on, you kind of had the belief Ian something would happen.
Yeah, he did. And it was that kind of... Look at the goals Giakoumakis scored against Ireland the other night. It was against Scales, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had that presence. He was just a goal scorer. I'm surprised we got him actually from Holland, and then no other bigger teams came in for him when he left Celtic rather than just going to the MLS. So he's older, wiser, more streetwise, just a more accomplished player. I think you're right, Liam. I think it's like it's settled down now. That settlement period has happened, and it's like it is a case of now. Perhaps he's not of Celtic quality, or whether the jersey's wearing a bit too heavy. He's not had a decent run in the team. Remember, Giakoumakis had a decent run in the team when Kyogo was injured.
Yeah. So
maybe that had a chance, a bearing on him doing so well at Celtic. Who's not had that opportunity. So, and it's hard as well when you're coming in. It's almost like you ever watch MasterChef when you have that they do that invention test, and some people put like everything they can make on one plate because they think they only get one chance. It's a bit like that, they've got to try and be all things, or they think they've got to be all things to all men, and they're not actually themselves. They're not trusting their own self. So yeah, it's difficult. But I think we definitely need get Giakoumakis back. Let's start a petition and just get Giakoumakis back rather than a Giakoumakis player. Let's just get him back.
Get the big fella back. I think. Sorry, Jerry, were you going to jump in there?
I'm going to fight my boy O's corner here a wee bit. So. Okay. I do get what you're saying, that there has to come a time. But a lot of people saying, well, Brendan might not see anything, it doesn't see it in him, that's why he's not bringing him on. We've got Kyogo who can get 3 touches a game and he'll score. right? And I think that maybe is Brendan not bringing O on because he doesn't believe in him, or because he believes so much in Kyogo? Now, if somebody says to me, I can't believe you're not playing well, yeah, you've had 15 minutes a game for the past few months. It's, do you know what I mean? You need that run, and Giakoumakis did get that run with the injury. And yeah, do you remember that last season, St Johnstone, Giakoumakis last minute winner? Oh, that was so beautiful, and that's what we needed tonight. Someone like that would. I think it was. I'll say the jury's still out for me. I'm not going to say yet that he's not good enough for Celtic or the jersey's too heavy. Signs at the start when he came in, his goal ratio for coming on as a sub was good, so he shows he can be an impact player. And now I'm saying that out loud. He's not been an impact player this season, so aye, if that made any sense.
No, it does. It does. But I also get what Ian was saying there. I remember him playing with Jurgen Klinsmann in the stands, and he was poor because he was trying too hard and he tried to do everything himself rather than just let it happen naturally. Yeah, disappointing day at the office today. Celtic failed to break down a resolute Easter Road defence, I think, and it's a scoreless draw. There wasn't a great deal to talk about. But yeah, we're still top of the league, 8 points ahead. And we move on to Wednesday night against St Mirren. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved in the post-match. We were a wee bit early today because we're hitting the road to Dumfries. If any of you are going to be there to watch me speaking to Martin O'Neill, say hello. It will be great to meet you. And all that's left for me to say, Jerry, Ian and Liam, thank you for joining me on a Celtic.
Can I just say something before you go?
Yes.
Can I just say, my Uncle James is in hospital, going through major surgery. So I just wanted to just say, Uncle James Shields, God bless you, all the best, and thanks for letting me say that, by the way. But yeah,
God bless James.
All the best,
Thanks,
James.
everyone.
Get well soon, mate.
Yeah,
and
all the very best.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, nice one. See you again on Monday.